Good Tuesday morning. Welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And it is a rainy day here in the Valley of the Sun. Started yesterday. It's not a ton of rain, but cloudy and just a sprinkle, a light drizzle. I think we're going to get it for a couple more days. Just been a crazy winter. I'll say this. I know that people love this global warming stuff, but wow, has it been a winter to remember everywhere. Really has been. I saw somewhere like Montana, the coldest winter, and I don't even know how long. And I know where my son, who was in Chicago, and how cold it was there. It's been a cold winter here. Now, our cold's different. Right? You know, when it gets like 50, we're upset about it. But rainy here, coming up through Mexico, and going to last, I think, for the next couple of days. It's just great for the water, right? And everybody knows, man, we could use the water. So we're going to take it. Just be careful out there. As you know, us here in Arizona, we're not the greatest drivers. You know, let's face it, I drive every day, and I willingly admit I'm terrible at it. Throw some rain in there, and it gets absolutely nuts. But it's one of those things, I'd rather have it than not. How about Boeing? See their stock getting hammered, everybody except us. They're having this problem with this plane, this 737 MAX, it's called, and it's a newer plane, and we've had two now crashes, you know, and of course when the plane crashes, you know, apparently the pilots in other places aren't as good. There's no Sully Sullenberger to land it safely on the Hudson. Everybody's dying. And I know China yesterday took them out of service. Today, Great Britain said they're taking them out of service. Pretty much everybody's taking them out of service but us. And one of the complaints that I'm hearing, and I don't know all the details, and I don't work for Boeing, and let's just say this, I hope they fix it. But maybe they're too complicated. You know, they're wondering if the computer is trying to do something. The pilots are like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that, and they're not quite understanding what's happening. But either way, just so you know, if you're flying today, I don't want to alarm you or scare you, but so the 737 MAX causing the Dow's down because of it today. Dow's, it's off 50-something points, most of it Boeing. Dick's Sporting Goods had a problem with their earnings. You know what? Here's what happens. When you piss off the hunters, they don't go there anymore, right? You know, they went after, started doing the politically PC gun control thing. And now they can't figure out why that no one's going to their stores to buy hunting supplies. Well, gee, I wonder why. So anyway, Dick's is going to be removing hunting supplies from hundreds of stores. Just finish the job completely, because as we all know, hunting and fishing means you're a terrorist and a bad person. You're probably a racist too, because that's just how things go. 800-951-0592. If you go out to our website, allamericangold.com, we got the link to the station we now own in Colorado, 1360 KHNC. We have everything, I think, now working very well as far as the stream goes. We've got the new stream up. I've yet to have it not work. I haven't got a single email about it not working, so you can listen to 1360 anytime you like and check out our programming. We're going to be adding program. We're going to be making changes to the schedule this week as well. Remember, Eric is back. Still fighting that cold a little bit, but he's back. 3 o'clock Arizona time, 4 o'clock Colorado time. Make sure you tune in. We got a lot of exciting things, and it's not just there. We got a lot of exciting things getting ready to happen. If you're looking at advertising, hurry. We're about, me and Jason and Brian, we had this plan in place about how many we were going to take on what we called the initial ultra low rates. And I will say this, we are 2 spots away from that, from hitting our goal. A matter of fact, yesterday I just got the copy of our latest advertiser. Those commercials are going to be cut sometime this week, and will be out on the air as early as this weekend. And then we have another one right behind them, so you better hurry up. If you're interested in advertising, reach out to us. You can email us through the website. You can call us here at Patriot. You can call the radio station up in Colorado. We don't care how you do it. Reach out to us, and you're going to get the best advertising deal in radio, bar none. And we're just so excited about it. Just to let everybody know, we're still not up to full power yet. And you're thinking about, man, how great the station sounds. We just sent some more parts back to Maine, where apparently that's where they got to go to get fixed. And we'll see how long it takes. I don't want to put a time limit on it because every time I say we'll have it ready by this, it always takes longer. So I'm hopeful here that in the next little bit, I'll say little bit, we'll be back to full power. There it is. Patriot Radio News Hour. We got a lot of things to discuss when we get back. Don't touch that dial. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Yesterday, the Trump administration released its proposed budget for 2020. And Jason, just so you know, the echo is back, faintly but back. Sorry about that. We're testing out different things throughout the rest of this week. As we are going through Colorado now due to the time changes. But he released the 2020 budget. And I know a lot of you probably have seen the headlines, right? He wants to increase military spending and cuts everywhere else, right? Cutting on farm subsidies, cutting on student loan, breaks for student loans, Medicare, Medicaid, pretty much everything, right? He wants a 5% across-the-board cut to pay for the increase in military spending. The budget totaled $4.7 trillion. Right now, you think about, the economy, give or take, it's a little over $20 trillion, right? Okay, that's the size of the U.S. economy, a little bit over $20 trillion. But the federal government essentially, they're over 25% now of the entire economy. When you think about a government that has become way too big, right? 25% of all spending now because of the federal government. Here's the problem. It really doesn't matter what the number is, right? 4 trillion, 5 trillion, 4.7, wherever it may be. How big's the deficit going to be? So we know this year, in 2019, we're supposed to hit the small number, $1 trillion. Next year, based on this proposed budget, now it hasn't been passed, right? This is the first round of it. And here's what I'm confident of. I don't know what they're going to do, right? What cuts aren't going to happen and what spending's not going to happen. But we kind of got a working number now, don't we? $4.7 trillion. That's the one thing I'm pretty confident of. They're going to spend that. But they're saying that the deficit is going to be $1.1 trillion. Now remember again, I'll say it again, that's the small number. It's not the actual number. Why we don't use the actual number? Well, because if we use the actual number, people may get worried. Now, again, why aren't we worried at $1 trillion? I mean, simple math, right? I know I only went to public school. But if the economy is $20 trillion, $1 trillion equals 5%. My whole life, I heard the Federal Reserve over and over and over and over again tell us the deficits were fine as long as it was less than 3% of GDP. Now, the funny part is back then, when I first started hearing it, you really didn't have a big difference between the small number and the big number. By the way, most of the difference in the small and the big is student loans, right? They don't want to count that. You're thinking about, hey, I know, let's not count a number where the vast majority of people actually don't pay us back. Probably one we should count, right? Just telling you where the big difference is. And the funny thing about this 5% is if you use the big number, right, we know we're going to be north of $1.5 trillion. So, again, public school education, that puts us somewhere around 7.5, give or take. Because the budget, the GDP is actually a little over 20 trillion, so not quite that. Let's just call it 7. Here's the problem with the number. How did they get to $1.1 trillion? See, and this is always the problem. They lied. Yeah. They said, you know what, we can spend $4.7 trillion because the GDP in 2020 is going to be 3.1%. That's how they get to 1.1. What happens if it's only 2%? What happens if it's 1%? I don't dare I say it. What if we're in recession in 2020? How big is the number going to get? So in the world of, hey, we're just going to come out and be bald-faced liars, the deficit's $1.1 trillion in 2020. My guess, this is just my guess, I'm thinking the number is probably going to be close to the all-time record high, that $1.4 trillion. Remember when we were in the throes of the financial crisis and we were in 2 wars, right? We had Iraq and we had Afghanistan going on. Yeah, we're getting ready to break that in 2020. And guess what? No war. No huge fight. Well, that's not. I don't know. Hopefully, no financial crisis. Do I think we're going to be in recession? It'll be close. Let me give you another case in point of how this is the things that really leave me scratching my head in concern. Remember when the Trump administration? Remember when we got the tax cuts last year? And every time you turned on Fox or CNBC, Drudge Report, big headline, Atlanta Fed says GDP 5.4%. Remember? For the second quarter, that was their number. And they were talking about what a great tax cut it was, and everything's wonderful. The good times are back. The best economy ever of all time. You haven't heard them talk about the Atlanta Fed lately, have you? Well, yesterday, they updated their number again. We had retail sales come out for January, and if you watched the TV, you would have sworn it was a great number. Of course, if you listen to me, I told you the truth. The only reason why they said it was up is they made December way worse, which was already – well, why not? December was already horrible. Well, the market was delighted 2 weeks ago to see a delayed fourth quarter GDP print of 2.6%. Remember, gold was off the high, but gold was still right around $1,325 to $1,330 that day. I remember that day. By the end of that report, right, gold went all the way. We saw gold go back, to $1,280. Right now, gold's what? Gold's up $1,298 right now. Still not back above 13. This was the report that started it, which came in well above the expected 2.2%. Of course, I told you that number was inaccurate. I told you that. We knew that. If I know that, everybody on Wall Street knows it. Everybody that works for the White House knows it. Now, after the January retail sales number made December sales even worse, that number is going to be true. Like I said, number is going to be lower. But nonetheless, what is Q1 look like? Right. So what are the projections for GDP in the first quarter? Well, the Atlanta Fed, not to shock, they still make predictions. Right? The problem is now that the predictions aren't any good, nobody wants to talk about them anymore. Last week I told you that Atlanta was predicting a GDP of less than 1%. And I even said, though, I know that normally they start too high, and then as we get closer, they lower the number. By the way, in case you were wondering what their number was for December, it was 1.8. Now, is that where we're going to end up? I don't know. It's going to be close. After the retail sales, the Atlanta GDP stood at 0.5% a week ago. So not 1%, definitely not 2, not 3.1, 0.5. After the release of the economic data yesterday, namely retail sales, they have a new number. 0.2 is now the new number. According to the Atlanta GDP, as of March the 11th, they're saying first quarter GDP is now tracking at 0.2%. After this morning's retail sales report, from which the Census Bureau produced, the personal consumption expenditures growth declined. But they told us on TV retail sales were higher. The Atlanta Federal Reserve took a look at the exact same numbers. Well, I shouldn't say the exact same numbers. Now I'm getting carried away. Because, see, there's the numbers that they want you to see, and then there's numbers they don't want you to see. And after looking at the numbers they don't want you to see, they said personal consumption fell to just 1%. But they're telling us how great everything is, right? And what do they say about why we're better than everybody else? Oh, look at the consumer is strong. 37 million credit cards, 90 days or more past due. 7 million people need their cars repoed. And that's an all-time record. Oh, yeah, by the way, speaking of cars, nobody's buying any. Houses, Does that sound fine to anybody? I mean, really, seriously, does it sound fine to anybody? CNBC this morning. Gap, Victoria's Secret, JCPenney, Tesla, Abercrombie & Fish, on and on and on. Already this year, 4,810 stores have closed. Let me read that again. 4,810 stores have closed. March isn't even half over yet. By the way, last year, if you want to know, 5,524 stores closed last year. I mean, we still got, about 18 days left? I think we can get there. We may be able to get there before the end of the month. The record for store closures, by the way, 2017, when there was 8,000 stores. I think we may take out the all-time record high. And what makes sense? Is the consumer really in good shape? Or has our economy got a lot bigger troubles than we're made aware of? Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, a daily commentary continuing the conservative pro-family legacy of Phyllis Schlafly. Now, the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
Liberals know who to turn to when they can't win in the elected branches of government. They run to activist judges. In a recent textbook example of legislating from the bench, an Obama-appointed judge held a trial in Manhattan federal court to take away control of the upcoming census questions from President Trump and from Congress. These liberal groups who brought suit asserted a ridiculous headline-grabbing claim that asking about American citizenship on the census is unjust racial discrimination in violation of the Constitution. They demanded a right to depose the Commerce Secretary to ask him if he's a racist. This allegation is, of course, beyond absurd, but falsely claiming that Republicans are racist is how the left advances its agenda. The Supreme Court shut down this unprecedented attempt to depose Trump cabinet member Secretary Ross in this case, after it had been ordered by the trial judge below. In January, federal judge Jesse Furman issued a 277-page opinion to prohibit the inclusion of the 9-word citizenship question in the upcoming census. The judge did not expressly hold that the question was racist, but implied so without any support in the record that it might be. He stated that his mission was to smoke out racism in order to uncover hidden forms of discrimination. But no such racism could ever be found. Unable to latch on to any testimony by Ross or anyone else, Judge Furman instead thrashed those who worked for Ross. Ross's deputy chief of staff and other Trump officials took a beating from the court based on little to no evidence. The court even admitted that the framers of the Constitution, quote, had a strong constitutional interest in the accuracy of the census, end quote. President Trump and Commerce Secretary Ross fully agree, which is why the traditional question about whether someone is an American citizen is an essential part of the census. Fortunately, the census case was scheduled for oral argument before the Supreme Court. Furman's ruling against asking the citizenship question will not be the final word on this issue. Apparently, opposition to President Trump means opposing literally everything he does and resorting to activist judges to do the dirty work.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Can activist judges be stopped, or will they continue to overturn laws with no regard for the Constitution or the will of the people? Connect with us at phyllisschlafly.com to hear alerts on rulings made by never-elected supremacist judges and to share your viewpoint. That's phyllisschlafly.com. Thanks for listening, and join us again for the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
800-951-0592. And, predicting the future is hard. It is. It's complicated. Right? I started the show telling you about, hey, we're still not at full power at KHNC yet. Wait till we get there. But I didn't want to tell you how long it was going to take because I'd done that before. And every time I give you I say a day, it takes longer. Yogi Berra, right? the Yankees catcher, the guy was hilarious, right? He was the guy that always had the very quotable, predictions are hard, especially about the future, he said, right? And that was kind of Yogi, right? Hey, They're hard, especially if you got to predict something that hasn't happened yet. One of the guys that I follow when I read about the gold markets, and I talk about this all the time, Economics 101. Listen, there's a million reasons for you to own gold. The 2020 budget is a great one. We know we're not going to grow at 3.1. We're not going to grow 3.1 this year. I'd love it if we did. I mean, don't confuse me. I'd love it. But it's not going to happen. So I'm looking at these numbers. Remember, I told you 2018 was just the start. 2019 is worse. 2020 is a big jump. Remember what I told you, 2022, circle that. Circle that number. 2022. Got a bad feeling about 2022. First of all, it's got the number 2 in it 3 times. Yeah, that may be the first time the 2 trillion number falls. And I'm talking about the little number. Who knows what the big number will be by then. But when I look at gold, one of the great places, and I tell you who to listen to, right? Jeffrey Gunloch, right? He's on our website again today. Ray Dalio, Charles Bitterman from Trim Tabs, Stanley Druckenmiller, right? These are the guys that I tell you to pay attention to. When you want to know about gold, great guy, Rick Rule. He works for Sprott, and a lot of you know Sprott. They're a big, big commodities company out there, and he's the CEO. He's the top dog. He's been around. Why I like him? He's been around a long time. He ain't been around 5 or 10 years. He ain't been around 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Right? 40 years plus. The guy's seen it all. One of the things that he has been really known for, bear markets are the author of bull markets. And bull markets are the author of bear markets. Right? You think about it, you're like, that makes sense. Right? Boom and bust, boom and bust, boom and bust. What side are we on right now? Right? We just, had allegedly the greatest economy ever. Bust is coming. Low prices in a sector causes lots of producers to shut their doors. Eventually, supply of that commodity starts to drop and prices level off. Then when demand returns, there isn't enough supply or companies producing the economy to meet demand, and prices soar. And then the cycle starts all over again. That's how it normally works. Look at retail. Remember when Eric and I were doing the show and we were talking about the 101 freeway way back in the day and how every exit was the same? Right? The same stores, the same strip malls, the same malls, exit after exit after exit after exit. And we were warning you, hey, we got too many of these. Nothing good's going to happen. Of course, now look at it. In the last 27 months, not even 27 months, the last 26 and a half months, we're just under 20,000 store closings. Right? Hey, we couldn't sell enough stuff. We had too much. Same thing with gold, but here's something that's a little different this time. He started talking about the future and wanted his readers to know how bullish he was on gold. We haven't had a major gold discovery in the last 15 years. Matter of fact, it's almost 20 now. And miners have cut their exploration budgets to 11-year lows to survive the tough times. Remember his earlier part of his quote. Low prices in a sector cause lots of producers to shut their doors. It's what happened in gold. It's what happened in a lot of the sectors. After grinding 8-year bear market, the gold price is ticking up. Remember, bull markets always follow bear markets. Gold's about to get more expensive. And a lot more expensive. In December, he suspected that a gold market had started or was about to begin. Besides a nearly decade-low gold price, America's increasing debt is going to drive the price higher. Remember the 2020 budget. Get ready. We need to ponder the fact that our communal debt, federal, state, local, right? Let's throw personal, both on the balance sheet and also the off-balance sheet. Yeah, talking about entitlements, estimated by the CBO now to be over $200 trillion worth. And see, that gap gets bigger and bigger. Every time I see a number, used to when I first started, that number was like 70 trillion. Household net worth across the United States, assets minus liabilities, is about half of that number. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Gold's up $6.70, $1,298. Silver is up 13 cents right now, $15.39 on silver. We just got an email during the break, right? When he was all fired up about, we just got an email during the break on 20s. Wendy, give me the details here. What are we talking libs? We talking saints? What was it? Or is it both? Just $20 libs. $120. Okay, I got it. $120 liberties. Right now, price on them $1,410. Okay. Yesterday, we ran them on special at $1,390. Gold's up another, like I said, $7. $1,385 today, and today only. This is an exclusive deal just to us. So all of our Patriot customers, $1,385 gold. Think about Goldman Sachs says $1,400 gold. Now you got Rick Rule from Sprott, who's out there saying to everybody, get your position established now. You think about gold's $1,298. You're talking about, what, $87 over spot today for $20 liberties at 800-951-0592. Here's what he had to say. Here's the options. The U.S. has stacked up its liabilities without the assets to back them up. Right? I like to call that writing checks your body can't cash. Right? Think about that guy mouthing off to some mammoth guy, right? He's writing checks his body can't cash. With this much outstanding debt, the U.S. will have to do one of three things. Turn on the printing press again, which I think they're going to do. Devalue the dollar. I know they're going to do that. Because when you turn on the printing press again, what do you do to the dollar, right? You devalue, right? Those two kind of go together, right? Listen, they're still talking about, and I know now they've kind of quieted down on rate hikes. Listen, rate cuts are coming. Which both of those things would dramatically increase the gold price. Or, he said there's one other option, we could risk default, which I don't think we're going to do that again. Either way, all of them great for gold. The growing debt bomb. Remember, I told you about this bomb. I've been trying to educate you. Listen, I don't want to yell and scream at you about it. It's simple. The growing debt bomb is now reality, and it's relevant right now. Buyers of U.S. government debt, like the Chinese and others, they get the picture. They're not buying any more U.S. debt. Matter of fact, they're net sellers. The Federal Reserve, they're not buying it, well, at least not yet anyway. Our ability to continue business as usual is being constrained by arithmetic. Couldn't have said it better myself, Rick. What do I always tell you, right? It's simple math. That's why I'm so good at it. Hey, how did you know the debts were going to start skyrocketing, Double? Well, I know how to do math. Pretty simple. How did you know the economy was slowing down even though everybody on TV told you it wasn't? Because I know how to do math. How do I know the stock market's overvalued? You're getting ready to go to the cleaners. Because I know how to do math. There's no tricks. Off balance sheet, on balance sheet, doesn't matter. GAAP earnings, non-GAAP earnings, adjusted earnings, take out this and take out that and seasonings and this and that. Doesn't matter. Rick finishes with this. Fundamentally, you should be buying gold. The supply cannot meet the demand. That's what I worry about. China's back to buying again. There hasn't been a major gold discovery this millennium. All of these miners are buying each other up because they don't have any more deposits. Demand is coming back. Right? Look at the numbers, right? They're pretty, you know they are. I know they are. 2019 will be probably an excellent year to establish position in investments that one is attracted to on a fundamental rather than a momentum basis. Right? In other words, hey, all those momentum things like the stock market, you better get out of. And you better start paying attention to the fundamentals. Gold is one of the few asset classes that has not been bid up to near historic highs. The world is beginning to lose faith in the dollar. And that's just the fact. How can you say that? And the answer is simple. Go to the Treasury auctions and look. They're not buying. What happened to the trade meeting? What happened to that? China's not coming. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. U.S. $20 Liberty Gold piece. As soon as I get off the air, I'll put it online as well, because I know some of you don't like to call. Some of you out there have listened for years. You know you need to do it. And I'm like this, too. I get it, right? We got to call, and I don't know what's going to happen, and maybe they're going to rip me off or whatever. You know that's not true. Listen, I'm going to tell you because you need to know this, and everybody knows because I do it every week. I tell you how to do it. You just dial the number 800-951-0592. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm disgusted by the fact that every phone isn't lit up here. 1385. Wake up. We're going to have a budget deficit. It may break $1.5 trillion next year. Small number. Small number. Atlanta GDP, 0.2%. And they're telling you how great it is? Please. You call the number and you just say, I want the special. That's it. That's all you got to say. You know what we're going to say? Ready for our high-pressure sales tactic? How many would you like? That's it. That's all you need to do. And we're going to give you a price. If you want to pick it up in Phoenix or you want to pick it up in Johnstown, you save on shipping. If you need us to ship it to you, great. We'll ship it. It's flat $35. Whether you buy 1, 10, 20. I'll tell you what, if you buy 10 or more and we need to ship it to you, I'll pay for it, okay? 800-951-0592. Okay, yeah, but what about later? Now you're going to start calling me all the time or fill up my email, my inbox. Nope. We don't call you unless you tell us to call you. And even then, we call you away. We got your check. We'll call you if you ask us to. Hey, we shipped your product today. That's it. We don't call you ever. How about an email? We don't even ask for your email address. That's not one of the things we ask for. How can I pay for it? Personal check, bank wire. We take all forms, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. Now, you pay more if you put it on your credit card. I know all of you want to get your points. I get it. Right? But, we just know you, and you know this. Everyone knows, right? They just charge me for it. So add 2% if you want to put it on your credit. I actually eat part of it, right? You know I'm getting it 3 and 4%. I'm only going to charge you 2 if you want to use your card. Otherwise, check. You want to pay cash? Absolutely. Bring your cash in, take your product, and go. Keep it under $10,000. Otherwise, there's a form I got to fill out. And listen, I got to ask you questions. If you're a terrorist, or how'd you get this money? Was it were you in something illegal? You got to keep that in on money. Listen, personal checks now the most private way of doing things. But however you want to pay for it, that's it. What's so funny is when Eric, my uncle, started this company, he did it the exact opposite way a sales company should do it. And you know what we found out? Most of you like it that way. The most private company to ever do business with, selling you the most private products possible. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back on a hump day tomorrow.